several years ago, before I opened the gym, actually, that I wanted to change up my workout routine. And I found a little place that was, filled with yogis and a nice little studio that I could practice and change up my workout routine. To be quite honest, it just needed something fresh, something new. And I thought, well, I could do yoga. What is this yoga craze about? I want to give it a try. And so I took a class, and all of a sudden I thought, I really like this. And the more I got into it, I tried some different styles and tried to see what I really liked. And little by little, I ended up finding it and finding that I really enjoyed it a lot. It allowed me to work my mobility, my flexibility, and learn a lot about the breath. And I never really was taught a lot about that in previous years in my gymnastics training very much. I always used my breath to calm myself during competition, but I never have really needed to use it outside other than organically breathing. But I started to realize that there was something to it. And the more I took classes, then I thought, I could teach this at some point. I was, a coach, and I had been for many years on and off. And I thought I could probably teach this one day. So that kind of led into starting my yoga teacher training at the same time I was doing the build out for DMGC.
Bend the left elbow and let the hand drip honey off the fingertips. Breathe up into the left side ribs. Good. Hand down, knee to nose. The first time I met Dominique was the first day of yoga teacher training at Yoga Bliss. And we start that Wednesday evening with a power yoga class in the hot studio. So there are tons of people there, everyone's sweating, everyone's hot, everyone's in their practice. And here's this one standout person who's got like the toes pointed and this like flare to the hands. And I was like, what's going on? Because that's just not the expression in yoga. So after class, I went to the front desk and I asked Kelly at the desk, what's with this person? Like, wow, what a different expression. And she said, oh, Tracy, go look her up. So, we had the rest of teacher training that night, and I went home and I Googled Dominique Moceanu, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
The journey to my 500-hour yoga teacher training course began with a tragedy at the end of 2020. I was 3 months pregnant and a surprise pregnancy, and I had a loss, a very significant and traumatizing loss in December of 2020. Never talked about it. It's always been very personal, very emotional. It's hard to talk about, but it led me toward this journey in 2021 that I said, I'm gonna do something for myself to allow myself to heal and reset myself, my body, my spirit, everything, because I was pretty crushed at that point and it was very heavy. And never did I think at this point in my life that I would start over, and there was so much excitement for me and my husband, and the loss was devastating. I needed to regroup. I needed something to feel whole again. And I began the path of the yoga teacher training. Once I was able to get all of my schedule for the entire 2021 year resolved, I felt a lot better about taking the course, and I said, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger on it, I'm gonna do it. Mike, are you okay with this? Can you handle the kids for one immersion weekend? Every single month from Friday to Sunday, I'm pretty much gonna be gone most of the time. And it's a lot of work, it's a lot of outside to reading and books and knowledge and assignments and those kinds of commitments with already a very full plate and schedule kind of terrified me at first, to be honest. But I am one of those people that once I decide on something, I'm going for it 100%.
I think Dominique's skills in gymnastics, of course, gave her the physical strength and the body awareness, the embodiment to do anything with her body that she wants to do with it. And certainly yoga's no exception. And then along with that, when you think about the practice of yoga, the poses are actually less important than the relationship you're cultivating with yourself and the attitudes and the mindset that you're working with. So in terms of that focused mindset, of course, Dominique was, eons ahead of other people who were still developing that inner relationship and the capacity to align themselves and focus themselves and work with their physical expression and their mental abilities that specifically. So that was certainly an asset for her coming to the practice. And one of the things that makes the program so impactful is that we're working with that material very personally. So each and every session has follow-up in our own personal practices. And in yoga, we call our personal practice our sadhana. And so the conversation always, until I'm blue in the face, is how's your sadhana? How's your sadhana? And each student is working an individual plan and path for their own growth and betterment. I'm not interested in yoga teachers teaching like me. I'd like them to teach intelligently and authentically from their own voice and their own presence. When it comes to the advanced training that Dominique is in, this is a whole year commitment. We meet one weekend a month, sometimes 2 weekends a month, a couple extra days thrown in, and we're working on upper level skills, like we're working how to create intelligent sequences, how to bring people into more advanced asanas. We're working with deeper styles of meditation and breath work. Your attention is one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable asset of our times.
I think it's just really about gaining more knowledge that I can then give my students. What can I give is your plethora of knowledge is really what it comes down to. You're sequencing a great class. How do you do a great assist? Those things all come into play. And also I got Reiki certified in my level 1. So I'm super excited to be able to bring that aspect into my training. There's so many things that we learned about this year that I'm so excited about.
The breath movement with the asana and with the rhythm. Smooth. Feel the elongation of the movements. Inhale, exhale, inhale.
So Carmen's Yoga Studio was named after my beautiful and brilliant daughter, Carmen. She is so special and so loving. I've never met a human being who could show more unconditional love than this child, and probably that's been one of my greatest gifts. Just seeing her grow up and seeing how loving and caring she is. She has such empathy. I wanted something to reflect her beauty, and she was taking some online yoga classes with me right as we were opening up the gym, and sometimes I'll throw on a video for her, and she started liking it, and she could do the lotus pose so well. And I thought, well, it would be really an honor to give her a space in DMGC and give her some kind of a nice namesake. And I thought, what better ring than Carmen's Yoga Studio? So it's always going to have a special place in my heart because it is this gem inside of this gym.
That's it. Lengthen those arms on the rise of the head. And stretch. Stretch. Big stretch in the arms. Feel the whole body engaged. Really inhale and exhale. And twist and extend.
The kind of yoga that I like to teach is a hot power style yoga class, but I coined my own class gym yoga because I bring elements of gymnastics and yoga together, so it's a gym yoga class. It's a hot power class, essentially loosely based off of Baron Baptiste's Vinyasa yoga style, but I also bring in inversions, and I bring in handstands, which is kind of the gymnastic side a little bit more. I bring in splits, which is Hanuman in Sanskrit. And I do speak in Sanskrit in parts of the class. I bring in a meditation. I bring in the healing aspects of meditation. So much research and science is behind meditation. So I always open a lot of my classes with a silent meditation because it's so hard for us to calm the mind down and stop the clutter. And that's oftentimes one of the hardest parts for some people. But then I bring in different elements of the Vinyasa style, and I bring in inspiration to the class, and the Reiki healing and energy is something that I'm hoping to channel in more of my classes as well.
Release and relax the head. Open up the chest. See if you can pinch the shoulder blades slightly together so that chest opens up and the back has more release.
So I've been coming to Dominique's class since the beginning, since the gym opened in 2018. And I do notice throughout her completing her 500-hour teacher training that she brings new inspiration into her class every week. So it's really fun to see, and she always switches it up. You never have the same class twice. So that's something that's very unique to her. I feel like sometimes when you go to a teacher's class, they may repeat the same class over and over again, but in 3.5 years, I've never taken the same class more than once. And so I think that teacher training, she's just pulling more and more inspiration from that.
I think at first I was intimidated because it is, you go to that first class and you have no idea what to expect, but I think she instantly puts you at ease. It's not just for gymnasts or people that are very advanced. You can be a beginner in this class and have fun doing it.
So she has really good energy, very positive. One of the things that I love about her gym yoga class is that she incorporates the components of yoga that also cross over with gymnastics and brings that into her class. So for example, it's not uncommon to go to a class and do inversions, but maybe she'll add them a little more than most instructors. So for example, if we're doing a vinyasa flow, a lot of teachers will cue you to maybe step or hop back into a plank pose, but maybe we'll do a handstand into a plank pose. Or instead of doing just a half split, we'll have the option to go into a full split, that makes it a little bit more fun for me.
One of the things that I really admire and I'm inspired about Dominique is her personal presence and the way she commands her energy. Clearly, she's very focused. Like you can see that intensity on her face and her, even at a very young age. But also in person, as she's teaching, as she's holding space in a room, as she's sharing in a group, she has a really powerful aura. And she can hold this space around her with a ton of strength and clarity. She actually anchors people, so I'm certain that she's a really great coach because anyone who's learning and coming through periods of insecurity and doubt and failure and success would be able to anchor to her kind of strength.